Yo, what is good, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is NextGen Wealth Tips here. Today, we're going to be telling you guys the crazy week we have coming up, how much money you can be making, and my outlook on the market and market trends that is currently going on. So, before we start, I just want to say smash the like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and let's get started. So, first off, I want to start off with some points that is going to be kind of making big moves or can move the market a lot. But before I start off with that, last week we had some job numbers that came out, and it kind of proved to us that we're not really going to be getting rate cuts this upcoming meeting. But there's some points this week that can really change that up a little bit. And depending on how it goes, we can see a big market shift and or it keep going down to the downside. But Tuesday, we'll be reading the wholesale inflation before the more widely followed consumer price index CPI is set for release on Wednesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday, we got some two big days, and it's going to update retail sales, inflation expectations, and housing activity are also on the schedule. So keep that in mind. With that being said, let's go look over at it. So basically, we got the inflation, we got retail sales, we got some housing stuff on Friday, but keep your eyes open up for Tuesday. Tuesday, especially 8:30, and then Wednesday also at 8:30. All of them at 8:30. So we can see it before the market opens. So just keep that in mind. Another thing that is big on the market, or not really market, but big on the schedule, is the releases of banking earnings. So that being said, this can really bring up or down the stocks of the banks and also the overall market to see how it is going. So yeah, with that being said, we got some big banks like Citibank on Wednesday, BlackRock, Wells Fargo. We got PNC, M&T Bank, and some other ones on Thursday. And we got some other little banks too, not little banks, but just other banks I'm not really looking at. I'm personally hype about Citibank, Wells Fargo. That's a big one too. And then I think M&T. M&T is kind of smaller, but that's one that I'm looking at. But with Trump's tariffs, we got Canada actually coming out with counter tariffs already ready once Trump launches the trade war. And with that being said, if you see Canada doing this, other countries are probably going to come out with this. So a lot of people are going to be retaliating against these tariffs. So keep that in mind, and keep that in mind for the overall economy. Next thing I want to say this fire that is going on all over. There's a couple fires. I just want to say I hope everybody's safe, and I hope everybody's family is safe, and I hope that you guys will be safe and it doesn't come towards your area. But with that being said, I want to say some numbers first. So we had 16 people dead Saturday night. We had 16 people dead Saturday, 11 people, 5 perished. Oh my God. 12 reported missing. So I just want to say I hope everybody's okay, and I hope the people that died, man, rest in peace. It's sad that it is going on, and I think this is actually stated as one of the biggest fires. So that's kind of, and they're facing little relief. They kind of had some good weather, I think, on Sunday, I think, but then or Saturday, and I think it got worse on Sunday. And then there's one that I had highlighted that the way it's looking now is that it's going to get worse by the end of the month. So that's kind of insane. So I hope everybody's safe. Just be safe. And yeah, guys. But with that being said, insurance stocks sell off sharply. Yeah, like electrical stocks dropping with this. So keep that in mind for the market. But I honestly overall just want everybody to be safe. Like I said before, the job reports made us literally Dow tumbled nearly 700 points just from that, and we're probably going to see more stocks dropping. And I want to say that we are in a bearish market, so keep that in mind while doing your trades. And we got a ban on TikTok. This is kind of off and on, honestly. You'll probably see this every now and then. If it doesn't get banned, you'll probably see this next year or the year after that. So they're just continuing trying to get it banned. But with that being said, this is an old heat map, but this is from a week ago. So basically, we are still bearish. Most of the tech stocks, we got Meta doing decent. Meta had some great news before. Tesla still doing decent, but I think we might see Tesla fall out this week if we keep on going with the bearish trend. And then we got Walmart doing good. I think Walmart's a good long-term buy, honestly. Walmart's just healthy overall. I don't mean to do. So by the day, though, we got Tesla down 0.05. So I think, honestly, Tesla is kind of at that state where we're just going to see it not really move too much unless we get like great news or bad news. So if we get great news, it's going to move up like $20-$30. And if we get bad news, it's going to move down $20-$30. With that being said, I think Tesla is that stock that needs fuel. So right now, like before, we were moving a lot up to the upside because of the Trump thing, but now we're kind of neutral right now because the overall market is just up and down. But people still believe in Tesla because they got robots. They're more than an EV company now. They got robots, they got autonomous vehicles, they got way more things coming out. They're using AI for the good. So with that being said, I think Tesla is a good stock to look at. I might do some more dollar cost average into my shares and probably do some long-term calls later on once this drop is done. That's another thing with Nvidia, but Nvidia kind of just moves with the overall market. So if you see the overall market down, Nvidia is going to be down. But Nvidia doesn't really have bad news. They got good news. They got the new gaming chip. They got their new gaming chip is like Blackwell integrated or something. I think it's going to have AI included with the gaming chips, which is insane. Basically, AI assistants or just AI that can basically work for you. I think you've probably seen the ads coming on like YouTube, Instagram, and stuff like that for AI agents, but I think you can have your own with the NVIDIA chip. So if you have the new chip that's coming out, the Blackwell gaming chip, whatever it's called, it's either going to be the Blackwell gaming chip or I think just the 50 series they're going to be in. Apple does have some bad news. It got sued recently and just things like that going on. But I think Apple is still overall a good trade. But I think for the long term, so I think for the short term right now, Apple is kind of bearish. But I think for the long term, you're going to see Apple keep going up. With that being said, they are about to upgrade their batteries for the AI demand. So I think in iPhones and like MacBooks, iPads, stuff like that. So keep that in mind. We got Visa down a little bit, MasterCard down, but we got some bank stocks that's going to be going up, so that might be decent. And I think Microsoft is doing decent. I don't remember too much news. Broadcom, I don't think I've seen any good news with Broadcom recently. Amazon's down a little bit, but I think Amazon's a good long-term buy just because they kind of take over the online e-commerce. So keep that in mind. But let's go to the charts. Let's look at some numbers. So basically, like I said before, I think we're kind of like fluctuating with Tesla, but I think I'll look for Tesla at the 400 line because it's been kind of bouncing off the 400. So I look at it how it bounces off the 400 for next week. And if we get a break of 400, we might see it at 410, 415 and see the 420 level. I think we might still be bearish, so you might see a green. So normally like stocks either open green, open red, and then go green, and then go down overall. So with that being said, I think we might see it break that 400, go up to 405 to 410. It might bounce off to 410, 415, or 420 and go back to the downside. So if you really want to play puts and be safe, you can play puts, but I wouldn't play puts if it breaks past that 420. And if it breaks past that 415, I just wait. And then if it bounces off the 420, I recommend seeing it break that 415 again. And if you see it break that 415, you can play an overall put just to be safe. To the downside, I think we might be able to break past the 400 once again. If we do break the 400, going down to 395 and then seeing that 393 level, that's going to be a key level. And also 390 is going to be a key level. And then all the way down a couple days ago to that 380 level. If we can see some big bearish sense on this stock, I think 380 is going to be a key level to look at. If it breaks below that 380, we're going to keep on going down. Next one we're going to talk about is Nvidia. So Nvidia has been pretty bearish since it bounced off the all-time highs, and since we've been getting that we're not really going to get rate cuts in the next meeting. So we just seen like a big sell-off, and this kind of been moving the market a little bit. With that being said, I'm gonna look at the 197 level, 138, and it might test that 140 level. 140 is gonna be key. If we do see kind of an overall bearish day, but see it go up, we might go up and then bounce off that 140 and then continue going to the downside. So I recommend watching that 140 level. If you buy short-term plays like day trades or anything like that, I recommend looking at key levels like this, like 140 to 138, 139, and then see if it bounces off that. And if it bounces off that, you can make a decent amount of money to the downside. So that's some levels I'm looking at for the bounce on Monday. And then we might break below that 137 to 135. But I think after 135, that's when I might sell the put, just because you don't want the DT or anything to get to you. The SPY play, I recommend playing it a few days ahead. You can play like next day plays. You can play multiple plays. Mainly talking about options here. But with that being said, SPY was in this wedge, and it broke past the wedge, I think Thursday or Friday. I think it was Friday it broke past the wedge. And with that being said, once it broke that wedge, look at this big candle right here. So once everybody's seen it break that wedge, everybody was just selling off. So basically, with that being said, honestly, I think we might be able to see it test that 584 level to that 585 level, and then it might bounce off of those and then probably go even lower, maybe to 578, 576. Doesn't really move that much in a day, but I recommend looking at looking at it retesting that, and if it bounces off, that's when you can buy your little put, and then just cash out at maybe 576. That's my recommendation, just to be safe, especially on a Monday. You don't want to lose your money on a Monday. You want to make a little bit of profits on Monday, and then the rest of the week you can trade with those profits and a little bit more money. Amazon, we've been seeing it falling. We kind of made a lower high, but not really. We just kind of bounced off that 228 level recently. So we got to really see how it's moving. It did bounce below this level right here, but we're still kind of on a bounce because it kind of bounced off of the 217. So I recommend looking at 217 to the downside, but we might see a green, like I said, like at the market open, maybe testing that 220 level, see how it bounces off that 220 level. And if we go up above 220, we might bounce off that 222 and then go to the downside. So I recommend looking at 220 to 222. So for this right here, I think 220, it might go above 220, and then we might bounce off to 222. But just look at that 220 first, and if you see a big bounce off the 220, sorry, I can't speak, damn. But if you see a bounce off that 220, I recommend that's when you can get into your put. But I just want to say, before we go into the next stock, please do not play puts unless the market is overall down, okay? Do not play. I'm just saying, I think the market's going to look overall red because we've been overall red recently. So that's mainly why I'm telling you guys put options. So you can play the opposite too. So let's say if we are green somehow, it might bounce down. Maybe buy like a call at 217. If it bounces off to 217, go into the upside. You can also play both ways if you're day trading, but just make sure that you get out early. You see profit, take profit in these markets because they're going to move both ways either way. With that being said, we can actually let's go to like NVIDIA, something simple. Go to the 5-minute chart and look at it so I can give you guys kind of an example of how the stocks are moving. So yeah, so with that being said, we're going to go to Wednesday to kind of give you guys an example of how the stocks really move. So like I said before, right? So if you look at it, we probably went up from pre-market like $2 overall. But then if you can see, we made probably like a $3 or $4 decrease at the end of the day. So like I'm saying, like let's say on Wednesday, my numbers, just like I have this little mark right here, my number is going to bounce off the 143. So if I tell you guys it's going to bounce off the 143, you see it, see how it plays, and you'll see an instant candle. This one right here is kind of hard to play because it bounced, like literally this is a 5-minute candle right here. It bounced down so much, so you're kind of already late into the play. But if you see a green candle and then a big red candle and it starts selling off, that's when you can buy your put. And then look, if you give it some time, you can buy it at 143 flat, and then you sell it all the way down here at 138. That's some big gains right there. So that's what I'm saying. Just be a little patient with the market. You're gonna see it dip a lot, and then you see a big green candle and you see it start going up, and then you see the key line that you're looking at for that day, and then you could buy a put, and then you could sell it down here. So I'm sorry if I'm not really explaining that right, but this is kind of how you do day trades, because sometimes when people play it, let's say if you're kind of bullish for the day, let's say somehow, and then you see this candlestick right here, right? And you're like, oh my God, it's going up. Or no, this is pre-market. I'm sorry. I apologize. Let's say if you're bearish for the day, right? And then you see it dropping instantly. A lot of people is going to get FOMO and they're going to get into a put option at 140. So keep in mind the DT, everything that happens. And then especially when the market opens, a lot of people buy put options. They're going to buy a put option on this. So the put options are going to be overpriced. So let's say if you buy a put option right here and you bought it for $200, let's say, and it goes back up, and then later on it's going to the DTE, and then a lot of people's not buying put options no more, especially here. But your put option that's worth $200, it's probably going to be back to neutral right here. I don't know really how to explain it too much. It's just how options work, because when market opens, that's when they're the most expensive and the most overbought, because people are overbuying it and they're going to see it going down and they're going to get FOMO and they're going to buy a bunch of puts. And then once you buy your put down here, it's going to be worth the same as it is right here. I mean, later on, you're going to get lucky, but you're only going to make like 50 bucks on that just because you bought an overpriced one. But if you have your patience and you see it at the line that you want to buy it, you buy that put option here, and that same put option is probably worth $100 at this time. Maybe not, maybe 150, but then you're probably going to make $200 down here. I'm sorry if I didn't explain that so well, but that's kind of how I've been seeing with my years of trading, just to have patience in the market. I also recommend just waiting a certain time, having your own time of when you want to trade. So don't trade past like let's say market open is 9:30, trade past like maybe 9:40 to 9:45 so that they're not overpriced no more. And let's say if Nvidia, you're just not confident in trading Nvidia that day, you just go to another stock. That's why pre-market I recommend waking up 30 minutes early or just trading 30 minutes early so that you can have your price levels already set. But with that being said, we're going to be going to Apple because Apple has been overall bearish. And like I said before, they've been having some bad news. We do got some green candles printing a little bit on the 4 hour. So we might be seeing a tiny bounce. So with that being said, we do got this big candle right here. So if you see some big candles right here, I recommend playing them to an extent, right? So you might be able to see 242 again if you see a big candle print, because it might bounce back up. It might kind of balance out a little bit and then bounce back down. So I recommend looking at the 242 level and then seeing how it works on that 242 level. But with that being said, some other key levels, maybe 244. So see how it works with the 242. If it bounces off 242, you can get into your put. But wait and see if it bounces above and bounces off that 244 to 245, and 246 is another key level, and then going back to the downside. But with that being said, we might see a reversal and you might see it go break above that, maybe going back up to the 250 level. So just keep that in mind for next week. And yeah, so Bitcoin, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin because I like to trade MSTR, and that moves with Bitcoin. So we've been bearish for the past couple of days, but we're kind of looking green again. Honestly, the way I've been seeing Bitcoin move is that at the beginning of the week and for like 1 or 2 days after, like Monday to Tuesday, we see bullish, and then the rest of the week we're bearish once again. So with that being said, keep that in mind. So we might be bullish for the next couple of days, and then we might see it bounce down again. With that being said, we might make another lower high right here. So it might do that. It might test the 100K and then bounce off the 100K, make it a lower high, or we could bounce past the 100K and break even more. But with that being said, with the market, but the looks of the market, we might test the 100K once again this week, and then it might bounce off. So look at Bitcoin when you trade MSTR, but you're probably going to see the same thing as you can see a few days ago when it hit like 102,000. We were up to the 380 level, so you can probably buy a call option, and then it might make lower highs, so you might be able to get like 360 out of it, and then it's going to bounce. So the safest trade can be looking at how Bitcoin moves with that 100K, and then maybe buying it at around this level, the 360 level, and then buying a put option, and you might be able to see 320 to 320 to 330 again. So keep that in mind. Just play these plays how the market's moving. Okay, you can do the opposite. Like before, I gave you guys some put options for Tesla, but if you see Tesla going green, you can play it the opposite. So look down a little bit at these levels I gave you down here, and see once it bounces off these levels, it's going to bounce higher. Sorry if the explanation isn't really there, but I'm trying my best here. I'm sorry, but the market's going to go crazy next week. We're either going to see it go crazy to the downside or go crazy to the upside. Honestly, I'm pretty bearish. I'm like 70% bearish for next week. So I recommend looking at some put options, mainly just to be safe. Never trade up against the market. So honestly, Monday kind of is going to make or break what the rest of the days are going to look like. But with that being said, check out my Discord in the link of the description below. Check out some of those links. You can get some free stocks. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.